Oh, you see, I wanted it to start just as all that is coming out your mouth. You can do one of those like after the credits. Just
Yeah.
Sam's on fire. Um,
Fuck, I'm
okay, let
getting
me
a
get my.
call immediately. 1 second, let me just cancel this.
If you need to take the call, obviously it's fine.
No, I definitely don't. It's from a group chat called Fart Boys. I don't, with the no, if anything can wait, it's that. You can leave this in if you want.
Fart Boys can wait.
Yeah.
Mike has a podcast which is very, very good. Listen to Mike's podcast, you definitely should. Learn things you didn't know about your favorite TV show. Well, film really. Like there's a director's cut of The Little Shop of Horrors. I didn't actually know that. And it was the only version I'd ever seen on TV years ago. Anyway, listen to Mike's podcast or I'll kick in your door. Swing it wide open and knock you on the floor. Never seen what, you've never seen what, you've never seen what, you've never seen what, well now you have.
Hello and welcome to another episode of You've Never Seen What, the podcast where I, Michael Moran, invite a special guest to discuss their film history and to evangelise a film that I haven't yet seen. We are 10 episodes in, and this marks the start of a sort of second series, or season if you're American. To mark this momentous occasion, I've invited comedian, director, social media star, and podcaster Sam O'Leary to join me to discuss a film from my backlog. Sam is an award-winning comedian whose comedy videos, often featuring regular collaborator Tom Lawrenson, have amassed millions of views, and his work as a director can be seen in professional productions such as Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. Sam is also a podcaster, the co-host of SKINWIGS with Ash Tyson, and he's the curator of the Adult Film Club, a regular night showcasing comedy short films, weirdo music videos, and forbidden content from the darkest corners of the internet. Perfect then for my little weirdo corner of the internet. Sam, how are you?
I'm really well. Thank you for having me. I genuinely, I could talk about films all day, so I feel very comfortable about this.
You sound like you're very comfortable right now.
Did I sound uncomfortable?
You sounded a little bit like you were under duress. Like,
well,
yes, I'm very happy.
You sent me those letters threatening my family, and I just thought you won't go away unless I do this.
Yes. So, Sam, we're almost halfway through 2026 right now. How has your year been so far?
Good. Tiring. I've been very busy, and I think I'm very ping-pongy with like projects. So I'll be doing the podcast or trying to make a short film. Like me and Ash have been going away for these weird lastminute.com holidays to make sketches for them. And like, it sounds fun, but we were making like 4 a day, and it was very full on. It was just a really hot work trip. And but yeah, good. Like me and Tom Lawrenson, because we've not posted together for a while, so I think people think we've just like fallen out or something. But we've been working on these 4 comedy short films, like proper, like more like long form stuff that's not just little Instagram reels, and we're getting them out in the next kind of month or so. We're putting on like a couple of live events to kind of show them off a bit.
Oh, interesting.
But that's kind of the thing that's been taking up the most time recently, why I've maybe not been online as much, is just desperately trying to get these as good as they can be.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What was the question?
How's your 2026 been? So busy is the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, fine. The world's burning down, but it's been okay. So you mentioned obviously you've got your podcast with Ash Tyson, SKINWIGS, that launched just before the start of the year, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to have been a great success so far. I'm personally a fan of the podcast, been listening to it. How has that been as in terms of the reaction? We were talking before we started recording, I guess that a lot of people have probably come to it through one of your most viral videos where you find a haunted CD. But yeah, what's that whole experience been like so far?
Honest to God, like when we started that podcast, I think we were both kind of like, let's do this for a laugh. And then when nobody listens to it, we've tried. But then what happened is with that, because that very first, like, dad, so Ash's, the lore of the podcast is that Ash's dad is dead, and I happened to have a box of his belongings, and I found a CD in there that he made for her before he died. And in episode 1, I play a track from this CD, And before we even had a name for the podcast or before we'd put it out, we were so excited about that clip because we thought it was funny that we just stuck it on Instagram just to see if people liked it. And then it got like, I don't know, like 6 million views or something. And it was good, but I was kind of gutted because I hadn't even linked a podcast account to it or anything. Like, so that first video ultimately did like nothing for us. But I was really happy to see that people liked it. And I think, but most people that saw it thought it was a sketch and there wasn't going to be a real podcast, which again makes sense because we didn't even have a name until episode 2, maybe.
Did you genuinely not come up with the name until that subject of the skin wig came up in the podcast?
Yeah, because Ash makes a reference to an old man mask that I've got being like a wig, a skin wig. And we were recording kind of a few before we settled on a name. For the longest time we were going to call it Piss Yourself Farting. That was one of Ash's ideas. And then it was going to be platonic online only because that's kind of mine and Ash's relationship and it spells out poo. And we were like, that's good, isn't it? But we were just like, well, how about skin wigs is kind of gross but not so off-putting, and it sounds like a sort of like a friendly disease. I think.
Yeah, or like an insect.
Yeah,
like
something like that.
Yeah.
Like you're like, oh, I'm not sending Billy to school today because he's got skin wigs.
Yes,
like that's what it sounds
exactly.
like. But it's been really fun. Sorry, again, I can't remember the question, but I'm having a lot of fun with skin wigs, and we enjoy doing it so much. I love it.
So when that went viral, did you kind of think, oh God, we've got to really amp up production now?
It definitely shit me up in terms of people listening to it because the rest of the podcast isn't just me like exploiting the death of Ash's dad. That shit me up. I think we've tried to keep it like deliberately didn't want to record in a studio, tried to keep it kind of scrappy, and like we film it in my dining room or like my garden in the last episode, and well, I think we quite like that it just feels a bit like it's always just about to veer off the rails a bit. Like we prepare but not too much that it feels like you might as well not be watching a chat, I guess.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
When one of the things that I love, because like I've listened to most of the Skinwigs episodes, but in those early episodes, I think I had actually come to it without seeing the clip first because
That's rare.
I had already followed you on socials and stuff, and I was like, oh, a new podcast, let me have a look into that. And then obviously I saw that later. But it is funny that you say that you weren't like linking it or anything like that to the podcast originally because you put it out, because I've tried to once early on, I think it is all on the Skinwigs feeds and stuff like that now, but early on I was like, why isn't it on the Skinwigs TikTok? And I had to like go into your TikTok to find it, and I was like, oh right, okay,
because there was no Skinwigs TikTok.
Yeah.
Like we didn't have a name, a social account. We hadn't looked into how we release a podcast in any way whatsoever. We just started filming because we were kind of just thinking like we weren't very up ourselves about the idea because we were pretty much like this is doomed to fail. So let's just get some stuff recorded, and if we like it, then we put it out. But we weren't that confident about it going in. We are a lot more nervous in the first kind of episode, but I think I over prepared to kind of hide that a bit and made sure that we both had like stuff to do all the time. Yeah.
When you come up with like those kind of ideas, so obviously like I know that's part of the podcast, the dad songs.
It is now, yeah.
It is now. Well, I was going to be another slight question is that did you suddenly rip up your plans and say, right, we're going to need to record a full album's worth here?
Yeah, so obviously I don't make those songs. We just found them, but what I think the plan was.
No, yeah. Sorry, did you think that? Did you have to like root through all the belongings to find more?
Yeah. The original plan was to play one of Lee Tyson's songs, and then every week I was gonna make a weird song and try and like trick Ash with it, or like. That was the plan because I like making music and stuff. But when everyone loved Lee's music so much, and I'm not offended, it's better than my stuff. then it was just like, right, well, I guess it's just that forever then, and I have to keep finding these tracks. And do you know what's funny? Because people are always debating whether it's real or not in the comments. And it is.
What's there
And
to debate?
there was,
clearly...
and one person was so 100% sure that it was Ash's dad because she said she looked through the other music comedy stuff on my page and it was nowhere near as funny. But the dad song was funny and that was proof. And I was like, I'm not really sure how to take this one.
It's it's a very veiled compliment, I guess.
Yeah.
With was that one of the names that was considered then? Were you ever going to go down the dead dad route for the name of the podcast?
No, because
or was that too morbid?
Because we recorded 2 in one go, and that was just like one little segment of it. But then so much of it became about Ash's dad, and I'd have called it the Dead Dad podcast. But then I do think that people would have gone in expecting a bit more sincerity than we are willing to give.
Yeah, I guess you could like mislabel the categories on iTunes or whatever as well and get it into like self-help or something.
Yeah,
like
exactly. That our podcast is helping fucking no one.
That is the pull quote, I think.
Yeah.
You mentioned your videos with Tom Lawrenson before, and obviously you've collaborated with many other I'd say online focused comedians as well. I think I first came across your and Tom's comedy through the Stuart Little parody, or how Stuart Little should have ended, whatever it was called. It was called something like...
It was called Stuart Little if he was maggots.
That was that the actual title?
That's what we called that video. That's what the video's about.
In fact, it wasn't even that one. That was the second one. It was the
big
Magic's Real. Yeah, it was the Magic's Real one, the big one.
It was called like, oh, that's going to bother me now. The premise was just like the fact that in the actual film, someone has sex with Tom Hanks while he's like big, but he's still definitely a little boy, and it's him coming home to explain
really
to his
creepy.
mum. Yeah, Tom Lawrenson wanted to call his next show "I've Been Shagged and Magic's Real."
That is a very Tom show name.
Yeah,
I've been shagged and magic's real.
Another one of his is "Not a Dry Seat in the House," which is disgusting. I don't even know what you mean. Like, are they pissing themselves? Are they like? Is it
you know
something
exactly
else?
what he means.
I know what he means, but I just don't like thinking about it.
So my fascination with those videos though kind of went beyond the comedy into what is this weird office that you're filming in? Why have you got a Lancashire County Council phone? Like, there was all these questions bubbling in my head around the lore behind the lore. Like, what is that building? Because you've done so many clips in there now.
We haven't shown half of that weird freaky building. So that is a cinema, an independent cinema in Manchester that we rent one room of, but because it's closed a lot of the time in the day, they just sort of let us run around and film stuff in there. But I've filmed short films in there, and we've managed to make it, even our office alone, for some of the like longer short films that we've done, we've managed to make it look like anything it needs to be, because it's just a big space, and if you dress it right, it's just fine. But yeah, so that's what that is. It's a cinema. So the bit, I think, in the Stuart Little if he was maggots, I think we're in the cinema very briefly in that, but that's one of the only times we've even used it. It feels mad that it's just sat there, but we've not used it yet. Really.
Yeah, it's just like, no, this little office is fine for every idea that we have instead.
Yeah, it's an airport, it's the beach. whatever we want. But yeah, it's a freaky building. Because at one point we were, sometimes because me and Tom don't live in the same, like, totally in the same area, and we meet in the office to film stuff, but if we need it to look like someone's house, we can't really do that with that building. But then we found that there's just this room in there. I'd been renting the office for like a year until I saw this room, and it's where we filmed the Big and the Stuart Little one, and it just looks like a 70s like living room, and it's just there. Like, it's not for anything. So that's just our kind of like fantasy house when we're making sketches that need a house.
Is that where the it seemed more like a modern room, but the putting the person's face back together from the witness protection shots.
That's
Sure.
just in our office, but our office also has a sofa in it.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you've clarified, by the way, that you and Tom haven't done a conscious uncoupling like Stephen Merchant and Ricky Gervais.
No, I'm
happy
still
to hear
very
that.
much on side with Tom. Oh, and I can explain the Lancashire County phone. That was so the very first music video that I ever directed was for a band called Bleach Boy, and
Right.
we had no money. There was never any budget. It was just for fun, and we filmed half of it on Blackpool Beach, and then on the drive back, I think we found an abandoned office building, and just went in and filmed half the music video on the top floor of this like mad high rise, and they just had that phone there, and I ended up using that phone for like 3 different music videos after it, and I think it's just got such a funny, mucky little, like, it's just a gross little phone, and I just use it in everything now.
But so hang on though, it wasn't found in a Lancashire County Council building.
No, I think it must have been.
Oh, interesting.
Well,
in like Chorley or somewhere. Where the hell would that be?
Can't remember what the drive was. It was anywhere between Manchester and Blackpool.
You were just skulking around looking for a blown out buildings.
That is exactly what we were doing.
You should have just I can imagine what you'd do if you were in like a city like Detroit or something where it's just abandoned buildings everywhere, but like a playground.
Yeah, getting all the phones, putting them in a bag.
No, not just for phones, for filming locations.
I just did it for the phones, really.
Just do you I guess you would like a big do you have a rotary phone? That would be a good one.
I don't have a rotary phone
Because they're a bit
yet.
daft, rotary phones, I think.
Yeah, they're mad.
One of the films that you threatened to make me watch was Skinamarink, and the sinister scenes in that film with one of those pull-along rotary phones, Fisher-Price toy ones.
Yeah, that's nasty,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah,
I didn't enjoy watching that, but I came out really glad that I had watched it. I saw it in a cinema, and it's one of the only films that's made me genuinely quite frightened of the dark afterwards. I think there's a lot of films, like, I think it does such an amazing job of capturing the kind of fear that you have as a child. I don't think a lot of other films can do that in the same way. And it made me just feel like vulnerable, and because when you're scared of something as a kid, it's like the world doesn't make sense to you yet, and that's kind of why you're more scared of it. And I thought that was amazing for that.
Yeah, I know. I enjoyed Skinamarink, but as I was watching it, I was like more fascinated than enjoying it. Obviously, I don't think it's very
It's
enjoyable.
a horrible movie.
But
I would never just stick it on for a laugh.
It's like, come on, round lads.
Yeah.
We'll have something to and watch Skinamarink. But like me and my partner Jenna watched it, and it was almost like about 10 minutes in, we almost turned it off. But then we were kind of like, no, we need to see where this goes. We need to follow through with this. But seeing it in a cinema, I imagine it was in some kind of cinema that attracts a certain kind of film goer. Because if I went to see that in the Odeon in Preston, I don't think it would be a very good experience.
No, it was freaks. It was all freaks. You know, it was freaks.
I was like, saying the quiet part out loud. Home, I bet. Home.
I'm including myself in that. No, it was at the cinema that I rent an office at.
Was it really?
Yeah.
It was you put on the showing yourself.
Yeah, it was just me.
It was just you and maggots.
Yeah.
So when you want to come up with like, these crazy ideas, I'm really interested to know. Obviously, I'm understanding now. You've got your own space to film.
Mm-hmm.
You organise slots to meet these people that don't necessarily live nearby in order to do this stuff. But what is that creative process like? Is there a lot of stuff that just hits the cutting room floor and you think no one's going to appreciate this, or do you do like loads of sketches in one day, or do you have more of a rigid idea? Like obviously, because like Big and Stuart Little kind of have a similar theme in terms of let's subvert what people think of this film.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, like a recent one that you did where there's just stock footage of a little boy waving all throughout it. I'm wondering, like, where did that come from? Was that just an idea that came off the top of your head? Or?
That particular one literally came from me and Tom were looking at stock footage for a different video, and there was just this little boy waving clip that we thought was so funny, because we were just thinking, like, when is anyone going to need that green screen little boy waving? And then it just sort of spiraled out of that. Like, the idea, we're never trying to be like, oh, let's do a parody sketch this week, or let's do a music sketch this week. It's always just like, what's the best idea that we're sitting on right now? And we used to film a few more sketches in a day, but then I think because we were both like, we didn't know each other as well, so we were like, it's just about the work, it's about the work. Now we just like gab on for ages and then get a massive meal halfway through the day and get all tired. So sometimes it takes us like 2 days to make one sketch, but only when they're a bit more like elaborate. Like the one we did like a Christmas Carol one, and that took us like 2 days because but that's because with the locations, we're like ping ponging all over the place. But we're never married to a particular way of working. We're just kind of always just thinking, what's funny, what are we laughing at? Like, there's some ideas that we've sat on for ages that we were crying laughing at when we first wrote them, but because we've thought about them too much and sat on them, now we're just like, oh, that's old. Like, everyone's seen that now, and we've never made it.
You ever psych yourself out of it as well? Like, this seemed funny in the moment, but now when I look back.
We've never not put one out based on that, but there are some where... Have you seen the one that's a guy pretending he's lost his dog to meet women in the park? We like animated like a crude like cartoon dog in it, and as we were filming, and I'm in a dress in it playing a woman.
I mean, I've seen many times you've been in a dress.
Any of them, yeah. And it was like raining in the park, and there was like teenagers walking around us. And halfway through filming that one, we were just like, "Is this shit? Like, is this actually fucking shit?" But once we committed to it, and once we got into the edit, we were like, no, it's brilliant. And like, so we never give up on something. And a lot of the time we've just changed the way we edit something. So like there's a sketch where Tom's a guy always trying to put his fingers in my mouth. And that was just going to be the sketch, but then it wasn't quite hitting hard enough. So we made it into like a horror trailer because we thought it just had more edge to it. I do like making online stuff for that reason, because if you're making a short film or a feature-length film or a TV show, you're kind of stuck in whatever you're doing. But with this stuff, it's like you make it in a day. If you don't like it, sleep on it, find a different way to edit it, and then you get it out, and it's just done. It's gone. You don't have to ever think about that anymore. It's not yours anymore. It's gone.
Yeah.
I love that.
Has there been ones where you thought you're really proud of it and then it just kind of falls flat?
Yep.
Is there any that you really, really love and you kind of wish had kind of...
Yeah, there's one that me and Tom did called The Play, and it's set in the same place that we did this stand-up sketch with Ash recently. And the whole... I can think because we had so much fun making it, it was like... And it was kind of improvised. We were in a pub anyway, and it was only us two in the beer garden, and then there was this kind of weird raised bit with some like medieval-looking bunting.
Yeah.
So we did a sketch about a man just doing a play for one man.
Yeah.
And I still think that's one of our funniest sketches, and everyone apparently disagrees.
No, I've seen that one. I did like that one. I need to revisit some of these. I probably should have, as a host, rewatched some of them before I spoke to you, to be honest.
It's all right. You realise how many of them are about dog shit when you watch them all in one go.
It's something where I've spoke to one of my close friends, Keith. We went to see Tom live in Chorley last year, and we always like share these videos and stuff as well. And we've thought about doing sketches so often, but then when it comes down to it, I just imagine we'd just be like awkward and not actually doing it, and just kind of like, I think you got to really commit, and I think that's a skill in and of itself.
Yeah, you have to be okay with being very embarrassed about something kind of going badly, or like being shit, and that's what I think about SKINWIGS, or like, yeah, literally anything I put out, I'm like, you don't get to know as well until it's out. You can ask some people and they might say that's funny, that's not funny, but you just have to be cringe and embarrassing just in case it does well.
Yeah.
And this doesn't feel nice. Especially when you're wrong.
One of the things that I don't think I realized really until I was doing a bit of research is that obviously I know you from your online videos and stuff like that, but you do more like, I suppose, quote unquote professional productions. You're an animation director and things like that. I'm imagining, is that a very different world, or is it which not which do you prefer, but what are some of the differences you find from just doing something for yourself and your friends as opposed to where there's like a bigger production around it?
Genuinely, it really just depends on the production, because I did the uh, animation for an episode of Inside Number 9, and I was so out of my depth, but I made a really good pitch deck, and I didn't tell them that I hadn't been animating very long, and they liked what I did, so I was like, okay, oh fine then, I'll just kind of like learn as I go, pretty much. And that was tough, but okay, that's a different example, I guess, because I was kind of just on my own doing that in my bedroom for like, I don't know, 7 months or something. So that wasn't fun, but only because I really like collaborating. Whenever I got to chat with like Reese and Steve from Inside Number 9, that was like so good. And I got to do a few days on set with, I got to do a day on set with them and direct Reese a little bit on this green screen sort of segment of it.
Awesome.
And that's like the most, I love being on set anytime. If it's a phone sketch, I love it. If it's a big TV set, I love it. I like the buzz and the energy and everyone trying to work really hard to get this thing done. And oh, by the way, you mentioned "Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared" at the start. I did work on that, but only in the tiniest way. I don't know if you've seen the Channel 4 "Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared." Have you seen that?
I haven't, and when someone told me when I said you were going to be on the show that they'd looked you up and you had done that, and I should watch it.
I wish I had. It's one of my favorite things in the world. In fact, my background picture on my phone is still of the duck, like
Right.
from "Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared." But I think I just flashed you my full card number then, because it popped up. Bad. But I just got asked to do a little bit of so there's one creepy character that they meet on it that does a slideshow about friendship. I literally just did the slides, like they're sort of cute, cartoonish kind of weird stuff, and it was fun to do. But that's all I did. But I think for the longest time that was the biggest credit I'd have had on anything. So it was in my bio. So I think a lot of people read it and were just like, he made the whole show. And like, I think I've taken it out. Have I taken it out now? I left it in just because I didn't want anyone to think that I was like stomping on anyone's toes and being like, I made this.
You're
it was just my biggest credit at the
Joey
time.
in Friends claiming that he writes his own lines for the soap opera.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a nice contemporary comedy reference to tell a comedian. Have you heard of Friends?
Yeah. My friend Chris Cantrell had a really good joke about 9/11 when he was doing his Double Act the Delightful Sausage, when they're bringing up Friends as a reference, and he says, "Oh yes, my favorite show about what was it? My favorite show about an impossibly expensive apartment and never ever referencing 9/11." Something like that. I butchered that, but I just think it's so funny because when you think about it, what the banging in the middle of Friends was 9/11, and it never comes up.
The only times they reference it really is like, I think they have like Joey wears an FDNY shirt in one episode, and then they like put like some message on like the Etch a Sketch or whatever it is, not Etch a Sketch, like a whiteboard thing on the back of the door. I thought you were going to say impossibly affluent white people who never interact with any minorities at all, despite being in
that's part of it, yeah,
in the like most multicultural city in the world. I think it's weird that out of all the kind of like big comedy hits that the America produced in the 90s, that Friends is the one that seems to have really resonated with the UK. You don't really get a lot of Seinfeld references over here, even though that was mega big in America, but Friends, I turn on telly now and it's still on.
I wonder if it just wasn't playing here yet. Like if they hadn't really thought about crossing the streams too much at that point, maybe. Because I never, growing up, I just... so sorry, bad. Cut that out.
That's staying in for life, pal.
Fine. I never saw Seinfeld on anything until streaming a few years ago. I never saw it on a channel. I never saw it pop up. So they might have just assumed that people wouldn't have liked it, but Friends had broader appeal, I guess, because on Seinfeld
definitely has broader appeal. Yeah.
I think like with Limmy, like with the Limmy show. They never showed it in England because they thought that people wouldn't understand his Irish accent. Like stupid stuff like that, where it's like, they'd have given it a go.
I thought that was some kind of subversive joke then, Sam. Do you mean Scottish accent? Or
fucking hell.
I thought
it's because I knew you were Irish and I...
Yeah, clearly.
So stupid.
bad.
I wish that was a joke that I made.
I was
but
thinking, oh, this is highbrow comedy here. I don't get
yeah,
it.
get it? Because
Get
he's
it.
Scottish.
I am worried. I don't normally wear an England shirt, by the way. We were recording this the day of England's first game in World Cup 2026. It'll be going live after the match, so we can pretend that we know the result. I'm personally shocked at how many
3-2?
streakers they had. 3-2, yeah. I don't normally wear an England shirt, but I did find it quite funny because today I was wearing the England shirt and I spilt like Huel all down myself. And so it just looked like I was covered in shit.
Isn't that such an embarrassing sentence to have to say, by the way, to another person that you spilt Huel down yourself? And I've been a Huel head, by the way. I've been tricked as well, and I do it like once a year. I'm like, I should get back into Huel, and then I get a bag, and then I have 2 scoops, and then I don't touch it for ages, and it goes moldy.
Yeah, well, no, this was the pre-packaged Huel because we have get it free in our office because it's very swanky.
Oh, like so I've just admitted to that for no reason.
Yes. But I was just thinking it's like the perfect like metaphor for the current state of the country, just like St. George's Cross just covered in like
Food supplement.
shit. Yes, food. We can't afford real food anymore,
Yeah,
guys.
exactly. How about this grey paste? They're all loving the grey paste.
You don't have to eat anything else. You can just like swallow like horrible porridge. Or the weirdest thing that Huel do is they do hot Huel. I don't know if you've tried that.
downstairs in my house.
I've got a bag of mouldy hot Huel.
Huel hot and savoury. We've got these little bags of it. I remember at first trying to trick myself, and me and my partner were eating it and being like, "Huh, not bad, huh?" And the more you eat it, the more it's got this like taste I've never tasted it on the planet before. It's like batteries or just some weird taste where you're like, I know it's not food. My brain is saying that spit that out. That is not food. And
It's like ChatGPT tried to make its own version of pot noodle. That's what it's like. It's just like
yeah, exactly.
Like so, you try and explain the concept of food to the Matrix, and everything tastes like chicken because it doesn't know how to recreate it. But yeah, I am bold and bearded and wearing an England shirt, but it isn't my typical look. I'm not normally going on a march or anything like that. I am actually English. That's what I was going to say. I grew up in Ireland. I've got a lot of Irish heritage. I learned Irish at school.
Gaelic.
Yes.
No way.
Yeah. But all I can remember how to say is, "Please, may I go to the toilet?" Because
can I have that, please?
An bhfuil cead agam dul go dtí an leithreas.
Whoa, that's nice. See, you can see now why they didn't play Limmy over here, because I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah, Limmy, yeah. But what I was going to say is that like Irish comedy was a big part of growing up. Yeah, productions that were made in Ireland. There was an Irish show called The Panel, which was a bit like If I Got News for You, but without the game show side. It was just basically a bunch of comedians talking about the news.
Right.
And they had like one that sticks with me that I feel like a lot of people don't remember who I speak to from Ireland, called The Blizzard of Odd. And I was thinking about that before because what that is essentially a comedian showing you clips from different films and different weird foreign programs, like Terran on TV style almost, but a little bit more sinister somehow. And I haven't been to one of the Adult Film Club events, but that's kind of what I was picturing it would be.
That's bang on. Yeah, like we try not to show people things that they would just stumble on online anyway. We try and avoid showing things that are too like viral. We hunt around like little pigs in the dirt to try and find the weirdest. Like, some of them are like disturbing, some of them are just really funny. Like we want everything to be funny in its own way, but we often have a section called Satan's Choice, where we find like the worst thing that we could find on the internet. And one of the films that we showed at one of the nights was so bad that a guy threw up in his pint glass. Like his full pint just back into the pint glass, and he had to go.
Jesus Christ. Do you like need counselling when you're finding these videos? Is it like the guy at Google
I love all
that checks
shit.
for... There's like the Yeah, it checks for like horrible,
Yeah.
legally horrible stuff.
Yeah.
That could be our ideal job if SKINWIGS and the comedy doesn't progress any further.
Me and Chris, who I host it with, we like it. Like, honestly, if we could just show people an hour-long video of a chicken's cloaca laying eggs, like close up, it's so disgusting. It's just shit like that. We did one event that was called the Maggot-tacular, and we had real live maggots in a bucket on stage, and we had a big sign up that said "Enjoy the maggots," and we thought that was so funny until we sort of got them out of the bag. They were alive, but the smell was insane. Like I didn't really think about the smell of maggots, but it sort of like smells like fish guts and just everything horrible. So I just had to sit on the side of the stage and keep Febrezing the sort of front row. But I don't know why we did that.
Was there interaction with the maggot? Were they just a prop?
Oh yeah, there was a point. So the whole we always have like a little plot in the show, where like a little story, and we do little skits in between the films. It's not just like film, and the plot of that one was that I'd been cursed by a maggot witch, and so everything I was trying to do was turn into maggots. And then we even had an act. It's like a friend of mine, Darius, who was a like musician, and he plugged in these little like receptors into the bucket of maggots, and he played music based off the movement of the maggots, and so yeah, it was all maggot based.
I used to go fishing with my dad growing up.
Well, you just typing in delete podcast.
No.
Okay, go on then. Sorry.
It was like it was the code word. It was the safe word. Chinchilla. What I was actually thinking of was Darius, as in pop idols. Darius is what I was thinking of.
I don't know who that is. I don't think it was him.
No, it isn't. So, right. Do you not know who Darius is? He had a #1 single.
I'll have a look. Hang on.
Right. So, pop idol, 2000. I think you're a bit younger than me, Sam. So you might not remember.
No,
2001.
Yeah, this rings a bell.
So he was on Pop Idol, and someone like Simon Cowell said, "You will never have a #1 record," because he didn't like him. He didn't want him to win. He didn't win, but he did have a #1 record down the line. But his audition was like a really sincere but terrible version of "Hit Me One More Time" by Britney Spears.
Excellent.
But he proper committed to it, and it was like it is a kind of clip that would probably, if it wasn't already so famous, be at Adult Film Club. It would definitely make someone throw up into the pint glass.
I need to remember that.
So, is Adult Film Club coming back? Have you got any more dates scheduled? I know
Chris has been writing on SNL, so he's very busy, and we're both very busy. So we kind of just try and do it a couple of times a year now. And he lives in Cumbria. I live in like West Yorkshire. We both used to live in Manchester, so it was a bit easier. But we will definitely be coming back. I've just got no idea when. I have nothing to plug for that.
All right, okay, fair enough. You bring up SNL there. I've absolutely loved this series of SNL, and I was one of those people of SNL UK, I should say. I was one of these people who were like pleading with people, like, give it a chance. I know we want everything to fail, but please just give it a chance. It's got great writers, great cast, and I've loved it. And I think it's just great to actually see a bit of money being pumped into comedy that isn't, the
sketch
great
comedy.
Well, sketch comedy for a start, but also not the same 5 names you see on every panel show and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Who are great. They're there for a reason, but, it's fresh faces.
But it's still all the Mock the Week lot. And lots of them are really funny, but yeah, you're right. Like every time a comedy show comes up and they need some talent, they're always relying on people like Rob Beckett and Bob Mortimer. And by the way, I love those guys. Yeah. But there's lots of other people as well.
I'm going to cut that bit out and be like, Sam O'Leary slags off beloved Bob.
I hate Bob Mortimer. Have that.
Personally, did you enjoy, have you watched any of the SNL stuff?
I didn't watch all of it, but I watched a bunch. And I personally think that George Fouracres is one of the best performers that we've got in the UK, and I can't believe that that I haven't seen him in anything sooner.
Yes.
I just think he's exceptional, especially when there's a few sketches that he was in that my friend Chris wrote, like the one with about the bastard seagull.
Oh my God, that was maybe my favorite sketch.
Me too. I just think George was amazing in it. The writing was really funny. I knew it was Chris because there was a line in it where he says that the seagull was like a pube's breadth away or something. And it's so Chris. And I was like, was this you? And he was like, yeah. But yeah, so
that sketch
great.
was amazing. Yeah, I completely agree. I think that all of the cast have been really great, and I'm hoping that for the next series maybe we can, because there's definitely been a few people who were kind of lent on a bit more, I think, for this first tranche of episodes, and I'm hopeful that in the next series we might be able to see some of the people who are more like background players or lesser parts like get to stand into the limelight. But George definitely is like one of the people that's really kind of leapt out from this first series, and I agree, like, because I mean I'm not the most up to date with comedy world outside of the your clips, in all honesty, the stuff that kind of hits me in the algorithm, and I completely agree. I think that he actually gives me Bob Mortimer vibes, actually.
Yeah.
Like young Bob
People
Mortimer.
online were saying that they want him to play the next Doctor Who. I totally see that.
Yeah, I can
just
see
think
that.
he's. I mean, I think he's done like Shakespearean acting.
He's a proper actor, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think he's just like an all rounder. Like I just feel like he's capable of anything. I don't know why. I'm so in love with him. I don't know why. But I, by the way, I think the rest of the cast are brilliant. It was just the first time I'd seen him. Like I think it was episode 1 when he did the first "What Kind of Irish Is Your Granddad?"
Yeah.
And I was so in love with it because it was performed amazingly. It was a curveball. It didn't have it didn't have an agenda. It was pointless. It had 0 point. I love that kind of comedy. I don't mind that. I watch like the thick of it, or I'll watch things that have like a political lean or something. But I especially love it when you can get big laughs doing something completely stupid and pointless. That's my favorite thing.
I think one of the things I've appreciated about this series of SNL as well is that with stuff like that, even if there's a sketch that hasn't really worked for me, that one did. That was one of my favorite bits. And also, growing up in Ireland, it was very authentic. Every one of those accents was pitch perfect. And he finishes it when you're saying there's no real politics or anything with an Irish rebel song that is the kind of thing you wouldn't have heard on TV at one stage.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
I retract my last statement.
And then like just randomly having Nicola Coughlan in the sketch as well, and then him claiming to her that none of this is real.
None of this is real.
Referenced in a future sketch as well, that exact line.
Yeah.
That kind of none of this is real thing in a lot of those sketches is that kind of absurdist, crazy thing that I see a lot in the stuff that you and Tom do that I just love, where there was one sketch that I didn't particularly click with me, which was a lot of like dancing, but it ended with the two characters turning into orbs of light and floating up
in
into
SNL
space.
UK?
In SNL UK, sorry.
Oh, I don't remember that.
It was in the last episode. It was Susie Gatwa, and I was like, I get this sketch. I like it. Maybe it's going on a bit too long. I understand what they're doing. They're basically the plot of the sketch. This is the best thing for a podcast is explaining what happened in a sketch. But
that's what I've been doing for about 40 minutes.
the basically two women who have daughters who have both, I think they're both called Sally. It's like Sally and Sally. They're not allowed to dance because they were cursed by a witch when they were children. And if they ever dance, they'll dance so hard that they'll explode.
Right.
That's the purpose of the sketch. And I'm like, oh, I like it. They're doing like Talisa, female boss, and they're doing all these like classic dances and stuff. But then the postman or the milkman comes in and they explode. He comes in and said, they have ascended into beams of light, and they like float off. And I'm like, the sketch was fine. It wasn't really for me, but that end bit kind of really made me appreciate it.
I like those endings that are kind of like, yeah, fuck it, why not? Like,
a lot of them...
I had do you know Alistair Beckett King? Yeah, so he's brilliant, and he sent me and Tom a message when we started making sketches together, congratulating us on how we were able to like end sketches, and I thought it was really nice. But the specific one that he was referencing was a sketch where at the end of the sketch, my character just flies away, and I was like, I doesn't get any like shitter, like the lazy. It's like it was all a dream, and then he flies away. But then I spoke to some mates about it, and they were like, to be fair, I've not seen many sketches end like that. But it wasn't relevant.
died on the way home to his home planet. He just, the cell comes off the screen.
Yeah. So
It is a
stupid.
thing, though. It's a criticism level that the American SNL a lot is they just don't know how to end sketches. They just kind of end.
Really, really funny setups, and then it gets kind of diminishing returns for 6 minutes. It's difficult because they've spent all this money on the set. You don't want to use it for a minute, and I understand that. But then you got to wrap some of these up, guys. Like on the American one, it just feels like just you want to end on the biggest laugh ideally, and that never happens on SNL in the US.
Yeah, I think that's something that the UK one got better as it went along. I think there was a couple early doors where there's like a Last Supper sketch with like David Attenborough and all them characters, and it kind of just fizzled out, and it was like, oh, they didn't really know how to end it, and then as it went on, they got much better at the endings, I think. So it's really interesting because obviously they have to write all this stuff so quickly, fill up so much time, and you know, things are changing to the last minute. It's been great to see that writing team kind of evolve and get better, like you know, in a way that we can appreciate. Just before we start talking about the film, Sam, I just wanted to check, because we're already been nattering on here for 40-odd minutes. Have you been watching anything interesting, comedy-wise or otherwise, film, TV recently? You said that you're a bit of a film geek.
I'm not like, it's not that I'm necessarily knowledgeable, but I mean, I like directing and I like directors, and I latch onto stuff a lot. And did you see Obsession that just came out?
Seen Obsession, yeah.
I'm just so annoying to try and find another word. I know, yeah.
Enamored.
I'm enamored by that film, and because I love Curry Barker, and I love that he's come from sketch comedy, and I don't know if you've seen any of his online stuff, the director of that, but he's just makes really fucking funny stuff. And then just made some horror short films and got bigger and bigger until he could fund this thing on such a small budget. They shot in like 20 days. Like I'm really, so that's kind of my thing at the minute. Is I've been rewatching a lot of horror since that, and kind of I'm working on a bit of a horror short film, and I don't know if it will go anywhere but I like the idea and I just want to try it.
You see all these YouTube people becoming horror directors, and you're like, yes, this is my ticket.
Well, yeah, I've always wanted to do that anyway. Like I had a feature film idea that was a horror years ago, and it does seem to be a weirdly kind of like established path. Like Jordan Peele kind of did the same thing. Like Curry Barker,
Zach Krieger.
What did he do?
Zach Krieger was I think it was called like The Whitest Kids You Know or something. He was a sketch comedy guy. Yeah. Sorry. What did he? Weapons and Barbarian.
Oh my god! Right, and I love both of those. I think that there's such a fine line between horror and comedy because they're all about like building kind of tension and relieving it. And I do think that there's a crossover, and I hope that applies to me because I really want to be good at it. But that I've watched Gone Girl twice this week because I love that film so much.
Twice.
I don't know. I've been making notes. Recently, I've been watching films and then watching it again and making notes about what I thought was what I liked about it and what I would want to like have myself in a film and that kind of thing. I don't know, but
what I really want to know what your notes were on Gone Girl now. Was it? Oh, I really like when Neil Patrick Harris got stabbed.
A lot of it. I mean, that is my favorite scene in it. I think, but a lot of it's like writing down how long a shot will go on for before cutting away and what that does to the scene, and kind of a lot of it's very like technical, just like this was a wide for 10 seconds they managed to tell, like, because I really like not necessarily just a wanna, but just how much you can get in a scene in one shot. I think it's really impressive, and you have to work a lot harder to make it interesting if you're not cutting away, because a cut is kind of like a little blink and it resets your attention, but it could also draw your attention in. If you can tell a story in like one little shot and just have the blocking be really clever, and like Fincher, I think, is so good at blocking scenes and having characters just be in the right place and what the power situation is. And so I was just writing down crap like that. not really for a reason. I'm going to forget all of it.
Like, I find stuff like that fascinating. It's just that I don't have the technical ability to do that kind of thing. Although these days, I mean, the barriers of entry are a lot smaller, I guess. But like little things like how in Gone Girl in particular, there's lots of almost like similar shots at the beginning and the end of the movie, for example, and but different color temperature. They're different, slightly framed slightly differently, but you can layer them on top of each other, which no one ever would do unless they were doing something like you're doing, like studying the film and see how they're changing across the film. But yeah, I do get. I've been my was talking about the algorithm before. My YouTube algorithm is filling up recently as I'm getting more into film for this podcast with stuff about how, you know, so many things are using shallow depth of field these days, and you know, it's great looking at 90s films where everything's in focus, and you know, little things like that.
And I've really come around to that. I think there was a point where Instagram filters came in and you thought that something had to be blurry in the image and something had to be sharp for it to be valuable. And sometimes it looks pretty and there's a reason for it and you want someone to feel isolated maybe, so you knock the background out of focus. But when people can work in a big frame, it's usually the sign of a very competent director, in my opinion, because it's like, look how much information they're getting across in this one shot without having to go to a close-up, or like, because the audience isn't stupid. It's like if we need to see someone looking at a particular mug because they like it, we can do that in a wide. We don't have to cut to a close-up of it and be like, see the mug. Like, we know what he's looking at.
You
so
just
I think,
pop up at the bottom. Look, this is important. This is Chekhov's mug.
That's how I watch films with my girlfriend. That's important. That's going to be important.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just ruin every film for her.
I do use that exact thing though. I do say, oh, that's Chekhov's lighter. Like, that's going to come back because he made it so
dog shit.
Yeah, that's when I'm watching your sketches. Yeah, it's always comes back. Chekhov's maggots.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then obviously you get people who are like, oh, we're over reliant on CGI and we should be filming on real film stock and stuff like that. And I kind of get it to a certain extent, but I don't think the problem is that. I think it's the way that kind of thing is used. You know, like, there's nothing wrong with shooting. Like, no one can be. If you go and make your own feature film, you're not going to be able to shoot it on film. Probably, maybe you are.
No,
but you're probably not. Only Christopher Nolan and like Paul Thomas Anderson can do stuff in like VistaVision or IMAX or whatever it might be. But the problem isn't the digital thing. It's the fact that everything's kind of been edited down, and the cinematography has been done in such a way to appeal to the lowest common denominator, because it's the people who are flicking through Netflix and want something to watch.
Netflix slop. I'm so angry about the way that everything looks on Netflix. It's so boring. Everything's just like really, really like overly lit, neon colors in the background. Like, it's just nowhere fucking looks like this. Look at like the rooms that we're in now. If we were in a Netflix thing, they'd have a big green glow behind us and a purple catch light in your eyes, and it's just do a room. Just do something that looks like a real space. Like, not everything has to look like John Wick. And which, by the way, I like John Wick and it suits that thing, but everything on Netflix, whether it's a crime drama that they're trying to play as sincere, like, it's just slop. It's just a lot of crap.
I think that it's frustrating with Netflix as well, because when Netflix was really started to like try and pursuing Oscars and like stuff like that, they did films like Roma. Like, nothing really looks like Roma.
Stuff.
But now it's like
second screen telly.
Yeah,
like, that's what it is. Yeah.
I find it infecting me. I you know, that's why I really still like going to the cinema, is because I'm not going to pick up my phone. I'll watch a film I'm really enjoying and I'll pause it and check my phone, and it's like, what am I doing? It's hard to break out of that. Whereas at the cinema, I at least have the social graces to not distract people with my phone. A lot of people don't.
I'm glad that I watched Skinamarink in the cinema, because if I'd have tried to watch that at home, absolutely well done, by the way, for plowing through that, because I would be playing every game on the New York Times app, like while that film was on, because it was just, it's quite a patience testing movie.
It did take us about twice the length of the film to get through it, to be fair, but we got through it.
Yeah.
So did you see Obsession at the cinema?
Yes, I've seen it twice at the cinema now.
And do you think Obsession earns the 4:3 ratio? And what I mean by that is
it 4:3? Because I think it was I think it was 16:9, but it just wasn't widescreen, so it looked weird on a cinema screen.
Well, do you think it earned its non-standard aspect ratio?
I think I don't think about it in terms of earning, because I just think, like, personally, for a lot of I've made a lot of music videos that are in 4:3, and when that sort of trend started coming in, I was one of the people that thought it was kind of wanky and annoying, and but only if they were deliberately trying to emulate this 80s look, but nothing else kind of matched that look. But sometimes it's just a better way to frame something. I think like I've shot on anamorphic lenses before, and they are so wide that it feels like, how the hell am I going to fill this frame? Like, if you just want to concentrate on someone's performance, then I think 16:9 is great. So
I think the first film of these, like, I probably thought it was a little bit wanky when I first started seeing the trend crop up. But one of the first ones I noticed it in as I was watching it was First Reformed. But I love that film so much. I was kind of like, yeah, you earn it. You earn the weird choice. At the time, a weird choice. I feel like it's becoming a lot more common now to be non-standard, I guess. But
Yeah.
I guess there isn't really a standard anyway. There's so many different variants that the nuances aren't probably easy to see in most cinema screens anyway.
Yeah.
And then you've got mental stuff like, I mean, I haven't watched half of the Transformers films because they just went off the deep end and they were already not very good. But I caught like 5 minutes of one of them on telly once, and it changed aspect ratio every other shot.
Really?
And I was like, what is going on? And I looked it up, and it was like he just filmed it in so many weird ways and edited it together without having any kind of uniform thing. So in the same way,
Weird.
sometimes you'll watch a Blu-ray of a film, like a Christopher Nolan film, The Dark Knight, and it'll go full frame for the IMAX scenes. Like that, but constantly changing.
That's mad.
To like
I've
really
never seen
narrow.
that.
Like it was bizarre. It was one of them where I think Anthony Hopkins gets yeeted by a transformer in a graveyard.
Sick.
Yeah, I see like think of it where he just goes like hits, he goes flipping around in the sky. I'm like, you go and get that check, Anthony Hopkins. You deserve it. But yeah, anything else that you've seen at the cinema recently?
Not at the cinema super recently. I watch all of modern Doctor Who about twice a year. If that's interesting. And
no, that is really interesting because I've I don't know, I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with modern Doctor Who.
Me too, by the way. That's part of it.
Like, and for some reason, I've not watched any of the Ncuti Gatwa episodes, but not for any particular reason. It's just that I think I had just caught up when it started, and I was a bit burnt out, and I was not thrilled with the David Tennant return episodes. I thought the one with Neil Patrick Harris in it was all right, but I was also one of those fans that thought Russell T Davies always comes back to some magical MacGuffin to solve everything, and it just got wound up by his episodes.
I from the sort of Chibnall era onwards, it's just been getting worse and worse. Like when I say I watch all of New Who, I pretend that it stopped after Capaldi, and then I try to avoid the rest of it, and because it was just weird, in my opinion, sort of bad writing that didn't make any sense. The character of the Doctor just seemed different, and it was weird. And the
what you're telling me is that you hate women.
Yeah, and ethnic minorities, I guess. No, not at all. Honestly, I was so excited. Obviously Bradley Walsh. Yeah, I was so excited about Jodie Whittaker being the Doctor because I thought she was a fantastic actor.
Yeah.
But I didn't really know about showrunners or directors or writers making a difference. I was just like, the show's coming back and it's got her in it. And I was very much one of the people that was trying to shut people down that were saying it's going to be shit because it's a woman. And then it was shit. But I had to then keep saying no, but it's not shit because she's a woman. It's shit because it's shit.
Yeah.
And it was just awful writing. And when Russell T Davies came back, me and my friend were so excited about it. We couldn't wait. And then he came back and it was like, what the fuck's happened here? Like, it feels like nobody's ever said no to him in the past 4 years. So I don't know what happened. But my favorite's still kind of, I think the Capaldi era. I think he's my favorite Doctor. I just think he's the absolute tits as the Doctor.
I think that era was quite divisive because it got really into the serialized story instead of like one episode kind of been
Oh yeah, there was a
self-contained.
full series that he did, Capaldi, where there was like it was all made up of like two-parters.
And I think there was like a 3-part in there as well. Weirdly, there was like the
Yeah,
monks or
probably
whatever they
was.
were
Yeah,
called. Yeah.
that was a lot of time spent on the monks. Yeah.
The thing is, though, I just like Stephen Moffat. I think Coupling's great, and I think that he had by far the best episodes in the Russell T Davies's original era. Anyway,
I agree.
Maybe he needed a bit of an editor himself, like RTD probably did
Oh,
later on.
I agree. I think especially earlier on, I think he would have all these like mystery boxes that wouldn't go anywhere, and
The J.J.
oh,
Abrams problem.
yeah, and I think he also definitely there was some weird, not sexism, but the way that women were sort of written in it were very weird, and I think he saved that when he got to Capaldi and Clara, and then especially with Bill, because he was just like the relationships with women in it were just inappropriate. All the women characters that would pop up were sort of horny, desperate weirdos, and it was just weird. Like the Clara fancied Matt Smith from the beginning, and there's one point where Matt Smith, I noticed this the other day, he's like wiping down the console with a cloth, and as he walks past Clara when he's talking to her, he sort of smacks her on the bum with it, and it's meant to seem sort of playful, but I'm just like, that's not fine. I don't think.
He's like.
They're not in a relationship.
200 times her age or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gross. Anyway.
I think that my favourite of Capaldi's run, and it's not like everyone probably has the same favourite, is the Heaven Sent episode. Yeah, where he's like in a time loop. He does a Groundhog Day. I thought that was a fantastic episode.
And the meaning was brilliant behind it, because it was, I think Moffat had really regretted the way that he treated, spoiler alert, the death of Amy Pond and Rory, because then the Doctor just kind of moves on. Like, he's a bit moody for half an episode, and then he just moves on. They spent a full episode of the Doctor grieving by himself over the death of, spoiler alert, Clara Oswald, and it was horrible for him. They spend like 2 episodes of him trying to deal with it and trying to bring her back and like feeling guilty, and so I think I get why it's everyone's favorite. And Rachel Talalay, I think, was the director of that, and she did a load of really good eps. She was great.
He also really, really loves the same trope that he's used multiple times. That I think that the best version of it is the girl in the fireplace, where you kind of have the time dilation. One person's getting
actually
older,
making use of time travel.
Yeah, but he overuses that, I think, a little bit, but because he does it when he introduces Amy Pond as well.
He does do that. There's a lot of girl who waiteds in his episodes, but then I'd rather that than the alternative with, like, Russell T Davies said something in an interview recently where he was saying, because people were saying, why aren't there more episodes on the TARDIS? And he was saying, well, I think of the TARDIS as just like a car, and then you get out and then you're just having the adventure there. And it really bothered me, because to call the TARDIS a car, it's like an infinite, weird, like insane space that could travel in time. And I don't think he ever took advantage of the time travel aspect enough. Like, it felt like it was just like, and now we're here, and then we'll come back to this box at the end. But why wouldn't the Doctor be using the time travel element all the time if he can do that? And I think there's a middle ground maybe that would have been nice between those two, I guess.
Yeah, I think that I remember when Interstellar came out, I enjoyed it. But I remember everyone being enamored with that one scene where McConaughey's like watching the clips of his daughter get old because of the time dilation. And I remember my friend telling me about it, going like, "Oh, isn't it amazing? It's emotional." I'm like, I think Doctor Who did it better. Like,
at which point, like there
was an episode called "The Girl in the Fireplace," which is
with Marie Antoinette.
Yes, and I think that does that kind of. I think that's the best take on that, because Moffat wrote that episode as well. Because he always seemed to write like the standout. Like, he introduced Captain Jack in Series 1. He wrote those episodes. Series 2, he wrote The Girl in the Fireplace. Series 3, he wrote...
The Empty Child was his. The Weeping Angels were his.
Yeah, the Weeping Angels came in Blink in Series 3, which was him as well. And then in Series 4, he introduced River Song and the Silence. Like, he always seemed to have these interesting ideas that stood out amongst we're going to see fucking Agatha Christie and a load of giant beetles, or whatever it might have been in the given series. But we're just going to bump into these... historical figures.
Yeah,
And,
they're
like,
running
you know,
out. That's why
yeah.
in like the Shooty Gatwa series, it's like we're meeting the Beatles. It's like that's not even long enough ago to justify hopping back. You can meet half of them now.
Yeah. Oh God, did they meet the Beatles really?
Yeah,
And they had actors playing them.
yeah,
Like it wasn't
and
just like behind their
no,
heads.
it was
Or
young
it was
Beatles,
Barry
and
Keoghan.
yeah, it was so bad. And that episode was like a musical episode where at some points the whole cast just like burst into song, and I was thinking, well, they're going to explain this. There's going to be an alien that's making them think they're all in a musical. The episode just ends.
But Buffy already did that, didn't they? Did you ever watch Buffy
But
the
then
Vampire Slayer?
I didn't, but I think I know what you mean. But then just don't do a musical episode in an episode of Doctor Who.
Yeah, there needs to be. I love musicals, but there needs to be a reason in
do.
something that isn't a musical.
Yeah, you don't just you don't. There's not like an episode of like Happy Valley or Broadchurch where they just start singing and then go back to normal. You're not allowed to do that. There's rules, and I don't.
Broadchurch,
Yeah.
Chris Chibnall coming back up.
Oh yeah, he probably would have done that.
Yeah, I guess unless you're The Simpsons gets away with it because it's a cartoon, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, nothing matters. And Kenny dies in South Park every week. Who gives a shit?
South Park also created a fantastic musical. Like the South Park movie is a brilliant musical. So
yeah.
Okay, right. Well, I'll try and wrap up the bulk of the main reason we're doing
I'll
this.
try and wrap up the whole podcast in a second.
So anyway, I watched this film, Frank.
Can I have a quick vape? Can I have 10 seconds of vape time?
Yeah. I'll be cut out and then I'll use AI to turn you into. You'll start singing about it.
Just turn it into a cigar. Something cool.
No, yeah. Are you a fan of? I think you should leave.
I think you should leave. Yeah, I think
because when you were saying about Curry Barker before,
yeah.
I hadn't seen any of his stuff really apart from since Obsession came out, and I was like, this is very Tim Robinson in a good way.
Yeah.
I don't know if all of his stuff was like that, but the one clip I saw was like
some of it. I think it's been so hard for it to not have rubbed off onto everything because it shows how little sketch shows we have, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like because. People are so hungry for it. That's why people like Instagram Reels. It's sketches. Like you're watching a sketch show you're just kind of piecing it together by yourself. And I think it's had a big influence. I do. There's the odd sketch where I was like, that was very similar. But I just think he's really owned the idea of one man just being crazy and difficult to be around. And it's like when David Brent, like a lot of people emulated David Brent after The Office came out. But really only because I think there's a lot of characters out there like that as well. So it's hard to tell sometimes when something's... I accidentally nicked a line of from I Think You Should Leave for a sketch without realising just because it had sunk into my head. And like I got comments about it and it drove me crazy. It was nothing. It was like we did a Traitors sketch.
Monsters on the World. It was
we did a Traitors sketch and Tom keeps threatening to kill himself in it and I say stop saying that, and that's like almost verbatim this line from I Think You Should Leave. I never would have put it in if I had realised, and I'm so mortified at the idea of thinking that would nick stuff, but it's just so part of the landscape now. It's hard to kind of avoid things being compared to it.
It's funny because, like, I think I like it. It's going to sound really stupid. I just find screaming funny.
Screaming is so, and he's the best.
Particular brand of screaming.
Oh no! Like
Yeah.
it's same with like Larry David in Curb. He's got like an amazing scream. Like, oh, and he's always like got his tongue stuck out for no reason as part of the scream. Like nobody does that. It's because it just grows and weird.
That's one thing I meant to mention before when we said about like Seinfeld not really coming over here. That kind of comedy, like literally that comedy, did really gain traction with Curb over here a lot more than Seinfeld, didn't it? And it's almost like I watched Curb. Yeah, it was on, Sky or whatever, so not everyone could watch it like Friends. But like I watched that and I got enamored with that, and then I went back and watched Seinfeld later, and you see, like, obviously it's so many of the same kind of things, and the observational comedy.
The social faux pas that they find are always brilliant.
Yeah. But I love that in a sitcom format, but I really don't like Jerry Seinfeld's stand-up. I've seen quite a bit of it, and what it reminds me of is Michael McIntyre. It's that pointing things out. And
it's
people
very broad.
Yeah, people give Michael McIntyre a lot of shit because he is so broad and such a cuddly, light entertainment kind of personality. But like, I was listening to him doing some of his observational comedy, and I'm like, if that was Seinfeld, people would be lapping it up. Do you know what I mean? It's like you're pointing out the obvious things in a funny way. Like Jerry Seinfeld does the whole, oh, you travel, you're on Long Island, but then you're in New York and all that kind of stuff. And you know, it's just. I
It's like
don't
stuff
particularly
about-
like Jerry Seinfeld either, though, for many reasons. But
No, I'd like to go on record to say that I personally don't like a lot of his life decisions. Wait, and then just in case you want to use this, I love Jerry Seinfeld and everything he's doing, and I mean everything.
I hate the way he gets coffee in cars with comedians.
Oh, I'll tell you what, just as a quick recommendation, do you know the Dutch comedian Hans Theeuwen?
Every comedian that you mention, I feel so bad when I don't know who it is.
No,
Maybe I do.
but he's not a lot of people know who it is.
Okay.
He is not a big name over here at all. He's my absolute favorite comedian. I think he's amazing, and I think he's Jordan Brooks' favorite comedian. I don't know if he wants that on record. Bad, cut that out. But he's got a special on Netflix, and he's got but his best special is called Live in London on Apple TV. I would just recommend it if you like stand-up, because I just think he's just a maniac. He's like a little bit cabaret. He plays piano too. He looks like a sort of demented Nick Cave. He'll do anything. Like, he'll do anything with his body or his mouth or noises just to try and get a laugh out of you, and it's kind of amazing. He ends up very sweaty. He's always got like a rag on stage, and he's like like drying himself off.
Like Lee Evans.
Yeah.
Maybe not that sweaty. I was talking to my friend Mike about this recently. I don't see enough live comedy or stand up, and it's such a shame because I live in Preston. I'm not far from Manchester. We used to have a Frog and Bucket in Preston, and I've seen so many people that are like Phil Ellis.
I love Phil. He's brilliant.
Fern Brady and you know, all these people who, you know, basically people who end up on the Taskmaster funnel. That maybe that's like the slightly better than the Mock the Week funnel. Since that's closed, I just kind of don't go out, and I kind of need to start going to like Excess Malarkey or something like that and seeing more comedians and just kind of supporting it.
My friend Chris that writes on SNL now, he co-runs A Lovely Time, which is a comedy kind of, like, they put comedy on, him and John Stansfield, and so they put on a lot of stuff in Manchester. So I would maybe give them a follow on Instagram, because they just put a load of really fun stuff on, and all the time. It's like either touring comedians or weird one-off stuff, and they're brilliant. So if you are looking for more stuff, I would recommend that if you're sort of Manchester way.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Should finally talk about the film.
Cool. Okay. Cut that out.
I'm never going to fucking
Frank.
listen back. I'm like, who the fuck are these guys? No, I'm only kidding. Frank.
You could release 3 episodes for this.
I'm so hot in this room. I'm in a tiny box room filled with fucking, if you could see, in fact, I probably shouldn't move this, but look at all this stuff about to fall on me, like games and DVDs and stuff. It's crazy. And I've started recently collecting, now I'm out of focus. Fucking brilliant. Come on, Mr. Director, how do I sort this out?
That's happened a couple of times, I think. I thought it was just the lag, but maybe it was just out of focus.
No, I think it's just the camera.
Oh, okay.
It's still better than
I'm
using
like
a
a
webcam.
real hoarder. I've got like a ton of... I don't even know... There's a bucket there. I've not got any use for that in this room. It's
Maggots.
just hanging out. Yeah.
It's the maggot bucket. I've been collecting UHDs recently.
Oh, nice, yeah.
But primarily stuff that I'm covering on the film. Frank isn't on UHD. I'm going to get the Blu-ray though. And then also I've been trying to I've just bought a load of Third Window films and some Second Sight films and like these little boutique labels. I've got some stuff coming over from Vinegar Syndrome in America, and they seem to do the kind of stuff that you'd probably like. Lots of like cult hits or weird oddities and stuff like that.
Yeah.
One of the things they weirdly have, which is coming, is they have like a very special edition slipcase version of the Rick Mail, Adrian Edmondson film Guest House Paradiso.
No way, what the hell?
Which was like, have you seen that? It's kind of like, it's basically a sequel to Bottom where the characters run a hotel, but they're not actually the same characters.
No, but it is the same characters. Yeah.
And like Simon Pegg's in it. It's really weird.
No way.
Yeah.
Did you ever see The Greasy Strangler, by the way?
No.
Oh, I should have made you watch that.
The
Next
greasy
time.
strangler.
I'm not even going to describe it. We need to move on to Frank.
You're never coming back.
I'll come back.
You're like, fuck this. Okay, Frank. Sam O'Leary picked for me to watch the 2014 Lenny Abrahamson film, Frank. I'll just read the IMDb synopsis. A young wannabe musician discovers he's bitten off more than he can chew when he joins an eccentric pop band led by the mysterious and enigmatic Frank. I have kind of been rating in my head how these IMDb synopsises go. I think that's a pretty succinct one. Some of them make no sense. Some of them are really bad. That one's pretty succinct, but it is a hard film to sum up, really, even though it's quite a simple film. Sam, why did you pick Frank for me to watch?
Well, there was a few
Apart from the fact that you forgot about the Greasy Strangler.
Apart from that, I also mentioned Thunder Road too, but you happen to have seen a lot of the weird films that I threw out. But Frank, it's not like my favorite film, but I've just always had a real soft spot for it. I think I've not seen really any films deal with the particular subject of like desperately trying to be creative or wanting to be creative and being bad at it, and how embarrassing that is and how ashamed you feel at that. Or, you know, like everyone's tried to sort of big up what they're doing at some point in their lives, like to make it seem more important, but you still know that you're sort of shit. Like that's been my whole life, and like it's definitely been my life as like a kid. And like I think I just hadn't. I also love musicals. I love music in films that's not necessarily just a musical, but they've had to make like a full album for this. I think the music's incredible, and also I think it's so impressive how enigmatic Michael Fassbender as Frank is, just using mostly his body. And there's that's a brief rundown. I've got more notes, but that's the base reason of why I like that film.
Okay, so Frank, I watched last night, so it's fresh in my mind. And I kind of, as I was watching it, it's one of those films where, as I was watching it, I don't necessarily know if I was enjoying it or not.
Really?
But then at the end, it felt like more than the sum of its parts. I can't explain it better than that, I don't think. What I mean by this is that I was trying to be a bit analytical as I was watching it, and I don't know why, because normally when I watch films for this podcast, I just watch them as though I'm normally watching them. But I felt like I was almost like watching it with a critical eye. I was probably thinking, oh, well, Sam knows his films. He's probably chosen this.
What does Sam see in this big steaming pile of shit?
I was thinking, is this the inspiration for Ash's dad's songs, Lee Tyson's songs, was this film?
If I had a band, I would want it to sound like that band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that when I first heard of this film and seen it advertised, I assumed, and I know it is inspired by Frank Sidebottom, but I assumed it was much more directly related to Frank Sidebottom and that whole thing. And it's largely, although there's probably elements taken from it and other musicians and stuff like that as well, it seems very original.
I like that about it. I think a little bit. Like I've watched his like little clips of his show and that kind of thing, and I know that my friend Joe Kent Walters, I think he was a big fan of him as well. I think it was really interesting. I remember hearing a story about I think when Chris Seavey, who played Frank Sidebottom, I think when he was unwell, a friend of his called him up. I think it was John Ronson actually, and he was just like, "Are you like doing okay?" And he was doing his kind of Frank Sidebottom voice just on the phone, just privately to a friend. And then John had to say like, "Can I talk to Chris?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I always thought that was so interesting, and I feel like they've taken these little sort of one-off elements and they've just blown it out to an extreme and done their own thing with it, which I think is sort of, in a way, maybe more respectful, because they're not going to get anything wrong, because they're not trying to actually say, look, this is what this guy was like. They're taking these broad, weird elements of it and they're just doing their own thing with it. And I think what they did is really sort of, it's still in the spirit of Frank Sidebottom, but just in a totally different package.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't have sold tickets if it was actually like Frank Sidebottom. The voice alone is just unbearable. Michael Fassbender's got this gorgeous, like, rich voice. Frank Sidebottom was just like, "Oh, hello, everybody. Like it's you can't do an hour and a
If
half
ever
of
there
that.
was an actor who could pull it off, though, Fassbender could probably have done it.
Fassbender, yeah.
I always find it so jarring when you hear Michael Fassbender talk in his normal voice because he is so Irish. He's just such an Irish voice, and a very particular Irish voice that you don't hear a lot of. I think in Hollywood circles, certainly. But yeah. So the film focuses on the character of John Burroughs, played by Donald Gleeson. I think one of the things that took me out of it instantly was the fact that I'm like, is he English? Is he Irish? Donald Gleeson is an Irish actor, obviously.
Yeah.
There's not many people who aren't Irish called Donald that I know of. But he normally can do a pretty good English accent, but there's something about the character he's playing here. And again, this is me looking at it so analytically when it doesn't really matter. But I was kind of like, I've heard him play an English accent well. Why does he sound so Irish? What's going on? And I know
have never thought about that.
Yeah, I think there's a particular wrinkle in my mind. I was like, when something stands out to you and you keep thinking about it as you're watching it and you can't just get into it. And it shouldn't do, because I think that it's a good performance. But I actually often have thought about this about Michael Fassbender's accent in other films. Not in here, I thought he was great here. In other films as well. He plays Magneto in the X-Men films, right? And because whenever you play a character who's meant to not be American, you do an English accent in Hollywood. Apart from in the new Christopher Nolan film, and that's why everyone's freaking out. Why are all these ancient Greeks American? Even though it makes just as much sense as them being English. There's a line he says in one of those crappy X-Men films that he did where he goes, "Don't you dare!" But in my head, he's going, "Don't you dare!" like in the most Irish accents because he slips through.
Irish accents they do seem harder to bury.
Yeah,
because they've just got so many kind of curly sounding words. It must be a real chore to try and suppress that. It's a very full on accent, isn't it?
Yeah. Cillian Murphy is from Cork. And people in Cork, they sound almost Jamaican. They sound like that. And people sometimes think, why are you doing a Jamaican accent to these people? But it's not. It's a Cork accent.
I just like it. I just like doing that.
I'm just a fan of the island. But Donald Gleeson plays a wannabe musician who's supposed to be around 30, I think, and he's kind of got this voice in his head singing about everything around him in a fairly uninspired way. And I did kind of like how that set the tone with very early on in the film, we see him accidentally write a Madness song because he's got this tune in his head, but then he realizes, fuck's sake, it must be Love by Madness. I quite like that. And the idea of it, when tying back to what you said before, music, I'm not a musician by any means, but music is such a thing where you are recreating and taking in all of these inspirations from everywhere else. And there's only a certain number of combinations of chord progressions. Do you know what I mean? And it must be hard to find that new sound, which I think does go a lot into the kind of weird attempts at artistry in this film.
Yeah, I think it. I think it's weird. I think that everybody can be creative. I think what I like about this is that it's showing that some people are desperate to force a certain kind of creativity that isn't right for them. There's lots of people that want to be an actor, that want to be a musician or whatever, and they will not let it go even though they have no discernible skills in it whatsoever.
Some people want to be podcasters.
Yeah. I've been having a fabulous time. I recommend this. But yeah, and I think so like that it makes sense that he would fall back to immediately copy a popular song because he doesn't have any of his own ideas, because it's not natural for him. And maybe he's not even trying hard enough. That's the thing. It's like you can tell how mad his ego is. I think I like his character because he it's like he sort of gets this very minor amount of fame and it immediately goes to his head, even though he hasn't deserved any of it.
Yeah.
And I think it's quite interesting that you can hate him as a character, but you don't hate him so much that you want him to get killed off. You still sort of understand that it's all coming from insecurity. He's just deeply, deeply ashamed of his complete lack of ability, and tries to cover it up by acting like he's something else.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with those points. I think that again, this is why I like discussing film, because you're putting words behind some of the thoughts I probably aren't able to verbalize. And there's been a few times I watched a film for this podcast where I've kind of thought one way, and then as you think about it and see other perspectives, and I kind of think, oh yeah, I do get that. And I think that thinking about it now, that kind of echoing of the fact that he's accidentally recreating the popular song. He likes the idea of being in this band, but he doesn't have the artistry to really contribute. He is almost like an instrument that's being played by the rest of them. He's not like actually.
Yeah, I think Clara says that about him. She says, like, you are fingers.
Oh yeah, she does, doesn't she?
Being told what keys to press.
Yeah.
And that's when he's like humiliates himself, because he's like, I write my own music, and they make him sort of play a song, and he's just got fuck all, and then he plays one of their songs back at them, and like just so it's awful. It's horrible, but it's true. He's like, the way that he gets introduced to the band is like, can you play these 3 chords? That's all he's ever really good for. And then I don't know if this is jumping ahead too much. I didn't know if you wanted to go in like chronological order.
No. It's just a conversation.
I really like the whole thing of the. It seems to happen to every keyboardist that they have. Like, their first one, he's trying to drown himself. The second one kills himself, and then John realizes that he's the third one. And it's like, it almost felt like folk horror-y to me, because they're in the middle of nowhere, and he's realizing that like all these like keyboardists are dying, and then like it's kind of scary. It's like, why is that position so cursed? What is it about that role that makes these men want to just die?
I think it's just that Clara doesn't like the keyboard.
She just hates
she's
the
like,
instrument.
Theremin or nothing. That's what
she's got a synthesizer and a theremin. That's plenty.
Yeah.
We don't need a keyboardist. Yeah.
But like that dynamic of the band, I thought was really interesting throughout, where they're all varying degrees of crazy, like in the nicest possible way. But like Frank himself, as like the leader of the band, he has this kind of almost like childish side to him, where he's very much being steered either by the manager, Scoot McNairy's character, I already forget his name, Don was it, or by Clara, or by John. But he has this kind of like almost like Peter Pan-esque quality to him, where
he's like a naive, sort of very creative but naive, like savant who he's got like amazing ideas, but he's very easily swayed, and the way that he's kind of corrupted by John is horrible. Like it's like heartbreaking watching him just when he puts that kind of makeup on the mask, and he's just has like a meltdown on stage. Like I honestly think that if I was watching that as a kid, I would find that quite frightening to see someone that upset. It's freaky.
The kind of the thing I appreciated about the film as well is this mixture of like absurd comedy and like very sinister elements. I mean, I was quite shocked when the manager kills himself halfway through the film. Like, I just didn't expect it. I also didn't expect the very surreal reaction of them guys to cremate him instead of like calling the police. Like, I just loved the idea that, no, he's died here. He's part of our little commune that we forged.
That's what I mean. It's like a folk horror.
They
don't involve anyone else. They're just trapped and on their own. So imagine just like if your friend, like you were camping with your mate and they like died and you just decided to burn him instead of calling the police. Obviously, they're only going to think that you've murdered them. Weird.
Because actually, I suppose if you start to think about the logistics of, okay, we do actually see the guy on the ferry port try and look at his passport or his ID or whatever, and he says something later on like, "I've got I
have a certificate."
A certificate, that's it. But like, actually, to be fair, you can just jump on a ferry to Ireland. I know someone who went on a ferry to Ireland from Liverpool, and his proof of ID was a council tax bill.
Excellent. My proof of ID is the Lancashire County Council phone.
You say, look, I'm English. You're like, hang on, you're clearly from Yorkshire, not Lancashire. But like you start to think of the logistics when they kind of come out of this middle of nowhere in Ireland to travel to Austin.
Don't worry about that. The film just kind of. Don't worry about
they're
it.
suddenly there. We're in Austin now. We're happy. Where's the money come from? I don't know. But yeah, it does feel a little bit though like for as much as John is like, I guess, sort of. He's not the bad guy, but he is a negative influence on this group of people in a way that he doesn't intend, but he doesn't help either.
Yeah.
He is almost being used in a different way as well, because he's being used for his fingers in more ways than one, but also he's being used for his money. He kind of funds this. And
they didn't ask, but they did accept it. Yeah. And they knew it was like his only money, basically, yeah.
I love the scene where I couldn't tell what he was eating. Was it hot chocolate powder or something?
I think it's the grown-up. It's that stuff that's like a food supplement powder. Yeah, it's basically Huel, yeah.
And Clara is just going absolutely crazy. Maggie Gyllenhaal really committed to this very strange role in a tiny film, which I really appreciated.
Yeah, I love her in this. I've always had a weird crush on Maggie Gyllenhaal. I don't know why. I think some people say that she looks weird. I think she's beautiful, and I've always fancied her. But in this in particular, like, she's just. I don't know what it is about characters like that I find fanciable, but I just think she's so horrible. Like, she's so nasty and evil, and
this is turning into like a therapy session now. Like
yeah, I think it was
Freudian
from
territory.
The way that I was with my mum, like no,
my mum used to make me wear a paper mache mask, and I loved it.
And I liked it, and that's fine. But yeah, like Maggie Gyllenhaal, and it's just like really nasty and bitter and weird, and stabs a man, and like it's but a man that she's had sex with that she also hates, and it's just I think it's really fun that she did this. I think same with Fassbender, like. It's not like they've done a Mandalorian where it's not really him in the thing. It's him doing it.
Him. Yes.
Yeah. And I just think that's brilliant that they all took a punt on this very unusual film. And I don't know.
I see, as I'm talking about it more and thinking about these scenes, I'm kind of, this is what I say when I think it's like, as I was watching it, I was probably a bit like, I don't know, a film is more than the sum of its parts, so that's the thing. And by the end, and I think the way it wraps up, I think some critics were a bit critical of the way it wrapped up, but I kind of appreciated that arc and him leaving the band behind at the end.
Because he's bad for them. He's realised that his presence is toxic and it's ruined everything, and hopefully he's learned his lesson and he's kind of grown up.
Like... But also, when Frank comes back to the band at the end, he doesn't come back with his mask on. Yeah. So I don't know what they're kind of like. Maybe there is a little bit of tough love in there, or a little bit of like helping him in some way through his misadventures. Because we learn more about Frank as a character as being someone who's always, it's clear, has always struggled with mental health. And although I think it does this in an absurd comedy way, I don't think it shies away from it. I mean, we see a suicide halfway through the film, of course, and although it is ridiculous what happens, it is still a man with a noose around his neck. And we find out that he's always been this person that has kind of used the paper mache mask as a way of bending away from the world, or moving away from the real world. He has, I don't know if the scars are meant to be from the mask or from self-harm.
I think they are, yeah. I think it's from wearing it so long, the hair has stopped growing where it is. I think that's the idea.
Yeah, and
one bit from that scene when you first see him without the head in his like lovely family home, it always stuck with me because I just thought it was interesting. They were saying like that he'd always just wanted to cover his face up or whatever, and there was a picture of him like holding a baseball mitt in front of his face, and by the looks of it, that's one of the only pictures they've got of him, so he must have just done that all the time and hated having his picture taken. And I thought it was really like tragic, like this thing's affected him his whole life, and it makes it work now, but it's a logistical nightmare to deal with.
Yeah.
And it's really sad. And I don't, even though it's like a type of like insanity that's not exactly like, I mean, it's wacky, it's weird, but I don't think they ever act like it's not serious in its own way in the universe of the film. And I think I like that about it.
Yeah, there's a sincerity to that. But also, like, again, in terms of John being a negative influence, like, he's trying to rip the mask off. He's trying to, like, say, snap out of this, grow up, whatever it might be. In a way that's kind of quite horrible. Like, it really is.
That scene, that scene where they're in the motel together and he's trying to get him to take the head off, like on the rewatch, I was like, it's really nasty, and it's like unpleasant and funny, I think, honestly, because the scream that Frank does is amazing, and yeah, I think I
It's
like
brilliant,
films
that
that don't feel, yeah, it's just like, like so high pitched, and I think films that just feel like weird and like the mood is changing all the time. I like that. I think it's, for some people it's maybe like too inconsistent, but one thing I was going to say as well, I think it might be difficult, like, not that I'm saying you'd have enjoyed it more in a different environment, because maybe not. I think because you watch films for this sort of as like, it's like you've got homework to do, you've got work to do, and you kind of need to make notes and absorb it in a sort of different way, or you'll maybe be watching it and thinking, I wonder what Sam thinks about this, or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's an
It
unnatural
must
way of
be,
watching
yeah,
films.
it must be less enjoyable. Like when I've had to watch like TV shows to make sponsored ads on Instagram about them, as soon as I know it's for work, I'm just like, ugh. Like,
Oh,
I just, you just don't end up enjoying it as much, do you?
I'm reviewing a video game for a website right now, and I do not. It's a video game. It's fun. I do not want to play it. It's like
Yeah. I
lingering
bet you'd
over me.
enjoy it if your friend was just like, do you want to play this with me?
Yeah,
But as soon as
exactly.
it's just like for work, you're just like, oh, now it's
But this
work.
must
That's
affect,
ruined
like,
everything.
This must have, like, Mark Kermode must be like, you know, like, it's a job for some people, so they must, like,
Yeah.
maybe you'll just learn to compartmentalize. But like I was saying, I try not to do that, and I feel like I noticed myself doing it this time, and I'm not sure why. But yeah, that's definitely a factor. But I did make a couple of notes watching it, but only a few, but only some of the funny lines, like, or lines that stuck out to me, like, when when he did try and rip his head off, and he goes to the arborist and says, "I'm sorry for trying to rip your head off," or whatever it was. When he goes to
he
Frank's
says it to
home.
like a tree surgeon.
Yeah. And also, there's just a line that the manager just delivers just so matter of factly. I used to fuck mannequins.
Yes.
Just that as like an extra
Yeah.
wrinkle for that character, and then they put like a mannequin's leg on his
Yeah.
grave, or on the float that he sets on fire or whatever. Just little lines like that are just brilliant.
Yeah,
Um,
weirdly explaining a lot about a character while also asking about 1,000 more questions. I like that kind of thing.
Just a couple of. I don't want us to go on too much longer because it is getting late. One thing I really appreciated was, because a lot of films do this kind of like overlay of the Twitter tweets and the SNSs and stuff that people do. I think that they did it really well here because of the growing followers, because he starts with like 20 followers or something. And by the end, he's got like 2,000, which is a decent amount of followers. I'd love to have 2,000 followers.
And back then, it would have actually felt like a lot more than it does
exactly.
now.
But he's not a megastar, and he's getting like 20,000 views on his video, which is of the band embarrassing themselves and of things that are an outsider laughing. He maybe doesn't intend this, but it does present it to an outsider's laughing in. But yeah, like you said, he's got this sense of importance because of that, or, you know, we should be becoming bigger and being more popular stuff. There's a bit where Frank starts to, is this more likable or more, I can't remember the word he used. And
he
then,
says it's his most likable song ever.
and then he says, can we make it a bit more likable, or something like that? And I just thought that was amazing. But by the end, the thing that kind of really encapsulates that, or is the cherry on top of that, is the fact that it almost is like John is envious of the fact that Frank has this thing to inspire his art and cause him pain in order to make music. And that is this mental health condition where he has the mask on. And Frank's father points out, no, he was always musical. He was always doing this.
I love that about the film. I think it's so interesting that John is so like confused about what makes a person creative, and it's like he assumes it must have come from some horrible trauma to draw inspiration from, because he probably blames his complete lack of creativity on having a fairly nice life, but it looks like they had the exact same kind of upbringing. And that must have been a real kind of weird wake-up moment for John to reconsider everything he's thought throughout the entire like year of making that album or whatever, because he just thinks, oh well, they've got that magic spark that I don't have. And it's like, no, it's something else. I don't know. Yeah.
It's the actual creativity. You're not just
Yeah.
you're in it for the wrong reason. He wants to
Yeah.
be. He has ideas above his station, but in a way that, I mean, I know many people like this, I'm not gonna lie, who they think that, oh, they just need the right chance, or they just need. There's always an excuse. There's always something that'll stop
Yeah, it's
them
because
from
no
doing
one
it.
listens to me, and like, yeah, David Brent does that in The Office. He's like, he has a breakdown at one point, and he's like, I've just got all these ideas, and if people would listen, but they won't, and it's like, well, they're listening
Well,
now,
what are your
mate, and
ideas?
yeah, exactly. I think like also there's such a huge difference as well between having an idea and actually doing anything about it. In terms of like creativity or people that I respect in the media or like directors or whatever, it's about 5% good idea, 95% doing it. Like, and I think lots of people, I remember people, I think my dad used to do this, like a film would come out and be like, oh, I literally had that idea years ago, but he'd almost be acting like it's not that original, or I could have done that because I had that idea. It's like, you couldn't have done E.T. I know you couldn't have done E.T., Dad. You're a welder from Halifax.
Spielberg is a hack.
Yeah, exactly.
The only difference between your dad and Spielberg is that one of them grew up in America. That's it. If I was in America, I'd have had the opportunity. Yeah.
Or any passion or drive or skills. I'd have made E.T. Yes, well, so would I in that context.
Well, literally, I'm not saying I'm your dad and you're Spielberg, but earlier on you were talking about like making your sketches, and I said something like, I've got all these ideas for sketches, but I'm under no pretense. I don't have the energy or drive or skill to do them. I've got the ideas.
Though you should try.
I do want to try
something.
Maybe this will be the inspiration. I'll start wearing a mask. I'll take the wrong messages. I'll start wearing a paper mache mask. Now I'm creative. I kind of almost thought that was going to happen at one point, where he was going to mistake that's the thing, and he'd start trying to emulate Frank in a different way. I almost thought it was going to go that way at one point. One last thing I want to say about the film is the Sorenfruvs is the name of the band.
Yeah.
And then at the end, when they don't have Frank, they have another name. I can't remember what it was, but I remember
it's like
laughing
loads
out loud.
of B's, D's, and R's in a row or something. It's just like, blah, blah, and that's how they found it.
They were like, "How did you know it was us?" And that's how. Because it's like
there was only one band name I saw that you couldn't read at all. Yeah, yeah. I think I must have listened to the soundtrack for that film 100 times. Like, look, when I saw my top 100 Spotify tracks of all time recently, a bunch of them were in there. I think the music is actually brilliant by like Stephen Rennicks, and they involved like big artists that are from other bands. Like I think the French couple, I think they actually do big stuff in other bands. I can't remember what bands, but I just think it's so good. I wish there was more music like that. It's sort of weird prog rock maybe, or I don't know. It just like mixes a bunch of elements, and maybe some people find it jokey, but I guess we know that I like making like songs that are funny as well. But I think you can do a song that's like not got jokes in it, but still has a funny like feeling to it, like these sort of Dadaist kind of lyrics in some of the Frank songs where it's just like weird phrases in a row. I like stuff like that.
Even the and it is more of a traditional song, but the final song that he sings, and it's kind of in the end credits, that's very Dada and very, he's talking about like fucking britches. Stale
beer, fat fucks.
Yeah,
like
and
just
all that,
random,
but that's ironically one of the more approachable songs I think in the film.
Yeah,
but also I think the stuff that you or that Lee Tyson does is, I think the thing is with that is that you probably might not even agree, but even though it is loops and it is things that have pre-existed, there is still an art to putting that together. Like it's not just random. Like there is a skill behind that as well. So I appreciate that about those songs, because if it was just, I don't know, you talk, if it was just like we're going to have a party type songs all the time, those ones, it would be funny the first time, but you need to have some creativity behind the actual musical side as well, which it does have. I also appreciated in this that it is Michael Fassbender singing. As far as I'm aware, it is Maggie Gyllenhaal singing.
100%, yeah. And I think because they're not married to, it's not like an X Factor voice, that kind of clean, smooth vocals. It's a weird voice again. It's like I think it's brilliant. I can't believe how much he brings to this character when he's got a fucking box on his head.
I've just realized this is like an inverse Inside Llewyn Davis. Where
I've not seen that.
So Inside Llewyn Davis is a story of a very Bob Dylan-esque, like 1960s Tribeca area of New York, kind of, or the Village area of New York folk singer who wants to just make enough money to succeed and be true to his art, and he kind of pushes away the commercial sides. But this is kind of like someone with no skill who wants the commercial side, who wants the success and not with no skill, but with less skill, wants the commercial side, wants the success, and doesn't really care about the art. It's a very good film. I would recommend you watch it. And also lots of original songs that are very good in that as well. Inside Llewyn Davis. It's a Coen Brothers film.
Oh, great. Yeah, cool.
With Oscar Isaac.
Oh, I love him. Yeah, great.
But yeah, so we'll wrap it up here. Is there any final thoughts that you want to say about the film, Sam?
I'd like to recommend that people watch it. No, I think. Do you know what it is? Yeah. Okay. Another final little point. I think even though this isn't a true road trip movie, it kind of is, and I just love movies like that. I think. I love Little Miss Sunshine. I love these kind of weird, just meandering journeys where I don't know, like.
I do love a road trip film.
Yeah,
Farrelly Brothers. Every Farrelly Brothers film is a road trip film.
Yeah,
well, even Green Book.
I've not seen Green Book. You know,
it's not very good.
Okay,
it's okay. It won the Oscar for Best Picture, but it's
but it's not very good.
Says me because I could have directed it.
I think like these weird ensemble movies where it's just a bunch of like people that are clearly mentally ill all together. Like Little Miss Sunshine was the same kind of thing. They've all got something going on. I just love it. I think it's really impressive to pull it off. I think anything that's like even like the when Guardians of the Galaxy first came out, I just like a bunch of weirdos like having to make it work. In Frank, they don't even make it work. They do sort of by the end, but I just enjoy that kind of thing. And I recommend it.
Brilliant. I recommend it too. I at the end of the day, I enjoyed it. Also, by an Irish director, filmed primarily in Ireland.
Lenny
Abrahamson, who also directed a year after this, the Oscar-winning film Room, starring Brie Larson. So
I never saw that.
Very different. Very good. It's really good.
What a weird two cup because
he must have been filming them at a similar time as well. Like
whiplash. That's nuts.
Tonal whiplash. A phrase that I have been ridiculed for using too often. Tonal whiplash.
Well, you've got one in this episode. That's good.
Yes. Just actually as a quick aside, have you seen Holcomb?
Not yet. I'm very excited to see it. It's the same guy as Barbarian. Oh no, it's not. It's the same guy as Oddity.
Yes, and again, Irish horror film. Another thing I love is a comedian playing a straight role, or a comic actor playing a straight role.
Me too. They know how to. Vince Gilligan is the one that kind of, I think, for me personally, unlocked that was a thing that comedians can
Bryan
play.
Cranston.
Yeah, well, and Bob Odenkirk. Like I think, comedians can play serious. Serious people cannot play comedy. You watch Johnny Depp try and do a comedy film. I just don't. It's crap. He's too serious in real life. It's just not. He doesn't have funny bones, in my opinion. But I think a lot of comedy people like also understand tragedy. I think
it's a thin line, isn't it? You know, Robin Williams, I think is one of the best examples of that.
Yeah.
And I think there's something to be said for seeing someone that you're used to being in this manic kind of happy mode in certain things, and then seeing them kind of flip the switch that works.
Jonathan Glaze is really good at doing. Oh my god, Uncut Gems, that was nuts. But yeah, Jonathan
Jams.
Uncut Gems. I do.
That was a moment.
Uncut
Fucking
Gems.
TikTok. Bring back Vine.
Jonathan Glazer, I think, is one of my favorite directors. Can't believe I've not talked about him. Oh.
Yeah, my camera's gone off. Perfect time. I don't even know if I should sort it.
I'll be quick. This is mostly for you, Jonathan Glazer is one of my favorite directors, and I'm surprised I've not brought him up yet, because I think what he's really good at doing is taking an actor that seems to be on an established path and then going like, no, you're doing this now. And like Scarlett Johansson was doing... Oh, go on, sorry.
No, I was going to say, he's Under the Skin. Is that
Yeah,
what he
exactly,
did?
yeah. And Sexy Beast, I don't know if you saw that, but he took like Ben Kingsley, who was doing like Shakespearean kind of stuff, and he made him into this like Cockney bully, and he took Scarlett Johansson, who was doing Marvel movies, and made her into this like freakish alien in like a British city, and like, yeah, I just think that's I really love it when that happens with people and people don't get typecast too much, and you see how much potential they have.
No, 100%. I really liked Under the Skin. I haven't
Tell
seen
me the truth. Are you trying to take all your clothes off and then put your camera back on and surprise me?
No, I'm not. I'm
hearing a lot of rustling.
Well, I was like trying to plug this bloody camera in. I don't know what you use for your podcast. I'm assuming you've got much better setup than me.
No, I use an iPhone, honestly.
Do you? Well, because I don't have a dummy battery for my digital SLR, the power doesn't keep up with it. Like it's trying to charge and be on at the same time.
Right.
But because we're literally about to wrap up, it's probably not worth me sorting it out.
Fuck that.
I can just be a black El Gato logo.
I like that. Yeah, I've always thought of you that way anyway.
So the funny thing is, because I'm going to edit this so it flicks back and forth between us, the last 5 minutes of this is just going to be your face.
Just me. Well, just quick cut to logo and back to me, just so they can see. All right, yeah, cool.
I'm not going to cut now. It's just going to be you. You're going to look insane. Sam, where can people follow you online?
I am at Mr. Sam O'Leary pretty much everywhere. SKINWIGS podcast everywhere. And if you want to follow me in real life, I often get the train from Halifax to Manchester, so you can just follow me around if you want, and I'm chill with that.
You're absolutely brilliant. Well, thanks so much for joining me, the logo man, the tonal whiplash of becoming a logo, and I really appreciate you coming on the show, and yeah, thanks a lot.
I've had a lovely time, honestly. Anytime, man. If you want me to come back, I'll come back.
Okay, cheers a lot.
Right,
cheers a lot. Thanks a lot, Sam.
Oh my God, wait, I'm going to tell you one last thing. Just because you said cheers a lot. I had to do this podcast recording with Reece Shearsmith and Steve Pemberton on Inside Number 9.
All right,
and the whole thing went... Well, it's more embarrassing for me. Right at the end of the call, it went quite well. And then just as I was hanging up, I went, thanks you. And then Reece went, thanks you. And then hung up. Really upsetting.
I didn't actually know that. And it was the only version I'd ever seen on TV years ago. Anyway, listen to Mike's podcast or I'll kick in your door. Swing it wide open and knock you on the floor. Never seen what, you've never seen what, you've never seen what, you've never seen what, well now you have.